They never taught you this in Friday sermons. And there's a reason why. You've been told to make dua after prayer, raise your hands, say the right words, ask with humility, and you've done all of it for years, maybe decades. But no one told you about the 7 elements Ibn Arabi called the invisible architecture of answered prayer. When a desperate man came to him after 20 years of unanswered dua, Ibn Arabi didn't tell him to pray more. He told him to pray differently. Within weeks, everything changed. What did he teach that man? You're about to discover. Here's what most people don't understand. Making dua isn't just about asking. It's not a shopping list you hand to Allah. It's not begging or bargaining or proving your worthiness through the right combination of words. Everyone thinks the problem is in the asking. Say it in Arabic. Say it after Fajr. Say it with tears. Say it 100 times. But Ibn Arabi, the man who kings travelled across deserts to meet, who spoke to very few but changed everyone he touched, said something that will shake everything you thought you knew. The problem isn't in your asking, it's in your not knowing what asking really is. Ibn Arabi lived 800 years ago, but his words feel like they were written yesterday. Born in Murcia, he spent his life travelling from Mecca to Damascus, from Cairo to Konya, searching for one thing: direct connection with the divine. Not through books alone, not through what others told him to believe, through experience, through opening his heart until it became a mirror. They called him Al-Shaykh Al-Akbar, the greatest master. When he spoke about prayer, people listened, not because he was loud, because he was true. One night, a man came to him, broken, desperate, and everything changed. This man had been making dua for 20 years, the same prayer, every night, for his daughter's health, for his debts to be cleared, for peace in his home. He did everything right. He prayed 5 times daily. He fasted. He gave charity. He raised his hands and wept and begged. Nothing changed. He came to Ibn Arabi and said, "Master, tell me the truth. Does Allah not hear me? Am I not worthy?" Ibn Arabi looked at him for a long moment. Then he said 7 words that would change this man's life forever. "You have been speaking, but not listening. Now, stay with me here, because what Ibn Arabi taught this man isn't what you think. It's not about patience. It's not about trusting divine timing. It's not even about having stronger faith. It's about understanding that dua is a conversation, not a monologue. And in every conversation, there are 7 elements that determine whether connection happens or walls go up. 7 invisible structures that either open the door between you and the divine, or keep it locked shut. But here's what will shock you. Most people only use 2 of these 7, and then they wonder why heaven feels far away. Let me tell you what happened to that desperate man. Ibn Arabi didn't give him a new prayer. He didn't tell him to add more words or find a better time or cry harder. Instead, he took him outside. It was night. The stars were infinite above them, scattered like salt across black cloth. Ibn Arabi pointed up. "When you look at the stars," he said, "do you demand they shine for you? Do you beg them to exist?" The man shook his head, confused. "No," Ibn Arabi continued. "You simply witness them. You open your eyes and they are there, already shining, whether you ask or not. This is the first secret. Allah's mercy exists before your asking. It is not created by your words. Your dua is not trying to change Allah's mind. It is opening your heart to what is already being given." The man stood there in silence. Something in his chest, something hard that had been there for 20 years, began to crack. Not break, crack, like ice under spring sun. And through that crack, light began to seep in. Now, that was just the first secret, the first of 7.
And already you can feel it, can't you? How different this is from what you've been taught, how it shifts something in your understanding. But here's where it gets deep. Here's where Ibn Arabi reveals something that most scholars won't touch, something that challenges the very way you've been approaching prayer your entire life. Because if dua isn't about changing Allah's mind, then what is it about? What are you really doing when you raise your hands and speak into the silence? The answer will change everything. Ibn Arabi taught that dua has 7 elements, 7 layers, like a building with 7 floors, each one necessary, each one supporting what comes after. Most people stand on the ground floor and wonder why they can't see the view from the top. Listen closely. The first secret, dua is not asking, it is remembering. You are not informing Allah of your needs. He knows. You are remembering His names, His attributes, His nearness. Before you ask for healing, you remember Ya Shafi, the healer. Before you ask for provision, you remember Ya Razak, the provider. You are not creating these qualities through your words. You are aligning yourself with what already exists. The second secret, dua is not speaking, it is listening. After you say the words, there must be silence. Deep silence. This is where most people fail. They speak and speak and speak, then they say Ameen and walk away. But Ibn Arabi said the answer comes in the silence that follows. Not always in words. Sometimes in a feeling. Sometimes in a knowing that settles in your chest like a bird landing on water. The third secret, dua is not wanting, it is surrendering. Here's the part that hurts. You think you know what you need, the job, the money, the person, the cure. But Ibn Arabi taught that true dua includes these words, always. Ya Allah, this is what I see from my limited view, but you see everything. Give me what you know I need, even if my heart resists it. This is where the desperate man wept, because he realized he had been fighting, not surrendering, demanding, not trusting. Most people make dua from their ego, not their soul. Let me explain what that means. Your ego wants comfort, it wants recognition, it wants ease, it wants what looks good, what feels safe, what others have. So you pray for these things, and when they don't come, you think Allah is withholding from you. But your soul wants truth. It wants growth. It wants proximity to the divine, even if that means walking through fire to get there. And Allah answers the soul, not the ego. This is why people who pray for comfort sometimes receive hardship instead, not as punishment, as answer, because the soul asked for growth, and the ego translated it as asking for ease. Ibn Arabi said, when your dua is not answered the way you wanted, check which part of you was asking. Were you praying from the frightened child inside you who just wants pain to stop? Or were you praying from the deep self that knows pain is sometimes the chisel that carves you into who you're meant to be? The difference is everything. This could be why you keep feeling ignored, why you pray and nothing changes, why you've started to wonder if Allah hears you at all. You're asking from the wrong place, with the wrong understanding, using only 2 of the 7 elements, words and wanting, and wondering why the door won't open. If you ignore this, you'll spend another year, another decade, making the same mistake, raising your hands with the same confusion, feeling the same emptiness after you say, Ameen, questioning your worth, your faith, your place in this universe. But it doesn't have to be that way. Ibn Arabi taught that when you align all 7 elements, dua stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Prayer is no longer an event that happens 5 times a day or when desperation strikes. It becomes your state of being, your breath, your heartbeat, the way you walk through the world. And when that happens, the question stops being, why isn't my dua answered? And becomes,
How did I not see that every moment was an answer? Let me give you the remaining 4 secrets. Write these down. Don't just read them. Let them sink into your bones. The 4th secret, dua requires presence. You cannot pray while your mind is scattered across 1,000 worries. Before you raise your hands, take 3 deep breaths. Feel your body. Notice where you're sitting or standing. Bring yourself fully into this moment. Ibn Arabi called this collecting yourself before you offer yourself. An absent prayer is not a prayer. It's just words thrown into wind. The 5th secret, dua, requires gratitude first. Always. Before you ask for what you don't have, acknowledge what you do. Not as a bargaining chip. Not to prove you're grateful, so Allah will give you more. But because gratitude opens the heart the way sunlight opens a flower. A closed heart cannot receive, even when the answer is being poured. The 6th secret, dua requires action. You cannot pray for healing and refuse to change the habits that made you sick. You cannot pray for provision and refuse to seek work. You cannot pray for love and keep your heart locked behind walls. Prayer is the seed. Action is the water. Both are necessary. Ibn Arabi taught, work as if everything depends on you. Pray as if everything depends on Allah. The truth is both are true. The 7th secret, dua requires time. Not the time it takes for Allah to answer, the time it takes for you to become ready to receive. Sometimes the answer is already there, hovering like rain above you, but you have not yet opened your hands. You have not yet stretched. You have not yet become the person who can hold what you're asking for. Patience is not waiting. Patience is transformation. When you start praying this way, with all 7 elements aligned, watch what happens. Not overnight, maybe not even in a week, but slowly, like dawn breaking, you'll notice. The heaviness that used to sit in your chest after prayer will lift. That feeling of speaking into empty space will transform into a sense of being held, of being heard, of being part of a conversation that never actually stopped. You'll notice that some prayers you made years ago are being answered now, in ways you couldn't have imagined back then. You'll understand that the silence was not absence, it was preparation. And then, one day, you'll realize the most shocking thing of all. The things you were desperately praying for in the past, the things you thought you couldn't live without, you no longer need, not because you gave up, but because you've changed. You've been shaped by the asking itself, by the conversation, by the 7 elements working on you the way water works on stone, slowly, patiently, until you become something new. That desperate man who came to Ibn Arabi, his daughter did eventually heal, his debts were cleared, his home found peace. But when he looked back, he realized something profound. The greatest answer wasn't those external changes. It was who he became in the space between asking and receiving. He learned to pray not from fear, but from trust. Not from emptiness, but from fullness. Not to change Allah's will, but to align with it. You are not broken because your prayers feel unanswered. You are being taught a deeper way to pray. A way that doesn't just ask for things. A way that transforms the asker. Tonight, when you raise your hands, remember, you are not speaking into darkness. You are speaking into the heart of the one who is already listening, already answering, already here. If these 7 secrets touch something in your heart, let them touch another. Share this with someone who needs to remember that their prayers are heard even in the silence. Until we meet again, may your dua be deep, may your heart be open, and may you never forget, you are already answered.